Welcome or welcome back. I'm Jacob,
Dumb baby.
and together we are the Butter Bunch.
The
Things seem,
Butter Bunch.
aside from that, just now, things seem to mostly be aligning in terms of time. Bond said that he could not be more on time right now.
Oh, okay. No,
Whoops.
sorry. Things are wrong. Things are wrong.
I have no idea what that was all about. So as I was saying, Bond could not be more on time. The BB joined the second that well, not the second, but just before the music seemed to actually wrap up, and yeah, to be honest, that was yeah, I killed the stream. No, you didn't kill the stream. I have no idea what that was all about.
No, you did.
So yeah, I guess. Speaking of death, we had the death of Barney, unfortunately, last time. Which, yes, by the way, turns out if you watch the subtitles, it actually does say the character's name is Barney. I forgot if we actually commented on the fact that the
We
character name was
didn't.
Barney and that he was a dinosaur enthusiast, and that was probably what the play on was. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah. Oh, great, small talk time. Okay, guess we'll do this before we start.
BB, how's Stick and Splinter? Well, I just finished giving them their medicine. They don't like it, but at this very second, they're going back to sleep because they're nocturnal. So this is like their midnight. But overall, they're doing pretty
It's almost
well.
by midnight.
Yeah. Overall, they're doing pretty well. It's the Stick in particular has always been the more sick one of the two, and I'm like every time, like every day, I'm super worried at certain points. I'm like, oh, is he okay? Because he makes all sorts of noises they really shouldn't be making, and so I'm like, oh, is he okay? And then he gets like real sluggish, but he's not lethargic. Like he's eating and drinking, so it's weird. And then I'm like, I hope he's not starting to get worse. And then he goes into it to attack his brother. So I'm like, oh nope, everything is well. Everything's perfectly fine. He's still playing.
Yeah,
So
I suppose in the sense of revitalizing. Yeah, all right.
is he still sneezing? Yes.
Well, glad we cleared that last bit up. Okay, so Wayward Guide. Again, well, I was about to say what we did last time, but we'd already said that last time, so I guess we'll just unceremoniously segue into the podcast version. So I guess without further ado, on with the review.
Chapter 6.
Time is a funny thing. Every day is technically the same length. It's the same 24
Technically,
hours, the
it's literally the
same
same length.
1,440
Well,
minutes.
no,
the
because
same-
you're not awake for the full 24 hours.
No one said you had to be awake for a data count.
6,400
Right, but
seconds.
whenever you're referring to like your day just started, but it really didn't.
No one said all of your days are the same. Like they said every day. We're not specifying it belonged to a specific person.
Right, but this is clearly what they mean.
Just 0.0035% of the average human life. So, how is it that something as consistent as time can seem to move so differently? The monotony
Now
of
they're
work,
going into
day
perception.
in and day out, emails, calls,
We're going into
spreadsheets,
perception
and
earlier.
meetings can all pass in an instant. Weekend mornings that start with a brief
I don't know about the last meeting that we actually endured passing in an instant. That one definitely took several hours.
right into dinner time when I realize I haven't even showered yet. Where did the day go?
Compared to actual elections, it really, it was faster, I suppose.
I was going to make a Fartimus joke when she said she hadn't showered, but okay, yeah, we'll go with
And
that.
there are other days that seem to stretch on and on and on. The kinds of days where you look back and think, how was all of that packed into one day? Like when you're determined not to pay to check a suitcase, so you pack everything you need for a 6-week trip into every nook and cranny of your carry-on. And even though it's clear the suitcase will have to be gate-checked and the zipper is ready to burst, everything fits. You avoid the fee and have defied the laws of physics.
Isn't there normally a fee for checking in a bag? Normally, sometimes it's included with your tickets.
Avoid the fee and have defied the laws of physics.
But not the ones of economics.
Day 6 in Connor Creek was one of those days. Over the course of 24 hours, the town's focus shifted from low-grade political bickering to something far more volatile. Odie doty.
like we mentioned in terms of the series itself, it did seem to shift from the low grade politics and murder as well to the possibility of werewolves reemerging and also murder.
Helen on a routine patrol the morning of the election. With another untimely death, politics were pushed far to the back of everyone's minds. Coupled with rumors of my run-in with a wolf-like creature the night before, the residents of Connor Creek now had only one thing on the mind: werewolf mania.
There we go. This musical sting has stuck with you, hasn't it?
It's pretty solid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just meant, I just mean because normally when I say like, "Hey, what's this new musical sting?" Like, oh well, I don't know. And this one, of course.
From the American Podcasting Network, this is the Wayward Guide for the Untrained Eye. I'm Artemis Shoehorn.
And it's time to send me back to the Paleolithic era. I'm Paul Shoehorn, and that's a dinosaur joke.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
At this point in our investigation into Connor Creek, things were not looking good. There was no denying that we had reached a crossroads in our journey.
Everything before this moment shall be labeled in the history books as Connor Creek B.O., before Odie, and everything after shall be called Connor Creek A.O., after Odie.
Okay.
I mean, again, going back to the haven't showered part, the Connor Creek B.O. part has a different meaning, but there you go.
That was the tipping point. While the other deaths were no secret, the manner of Odie's demise ushered in a terror that hadn't touched the locals until now.
Which,
We had
you know,
hoped
that... Which, by the way, I guess just to carry on the theme, the BO and AO thing is obviously a reference to like different denominations of how time is passing.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's referring to BC and AC.
Well, or BC and AD as it is commonly referred to. Yes, like again, that was so obvious I didn't think it was worth mentioning, but yeah, fair enough. Although now, since you bring up the subject, you know something that I never considered in terms of BC and AD. Well, the technically should be like a 30-odd year period of like DC during Christ, if you think about it. But anyway,
election would give us some sort of closure, or at least a clue on how to move forward. But instead, no one seemed to care about the progress of our investigation.
Yeah, well, because I see. So no, AD starts at the birth of Christ.
Yes, that was what I was referring to.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have a during Christ.
Well, during his lifetime. Oh, I guess I guess because some people say AD is after death, some people say it's Anno Domini. So yeah, Anno Domini.
It's Anno Domini.
Yeah. All right, fine.
Anymore. Their only priority was protecting themselves and their homes from an unknown and unlikely threat.
I can't die! I have so much to live for, so many ingredients to try, dishes to invent, flavors to explore. I've never tried jackfruit.
Whoa, really? Jackfruit tacos are bomb.
Deep breaths, Quinn.
I've also never had jackfruit.
I'd never heard the word jackfruit until today.
Deep breaths,
and neither have I.
This werewolf thing is still just speculation. Nothing has been proven. The best thing we can do is take a calm and measured approach.
I know more about measurement than anyone in this town. Anything more than a tablespoon of lemon zest could spoil an entire batch of chèvre. Oh god, my spoons.
You know what? I see though. So on the subject of jackfruit, I'm still thinking about that. I wonder if that's where Jarko the Galactic Patrolman's name comes from. Because I'm thinking, of course, like most of the most like the aliens in the Toryverse are named after fruit, except for the Saiyans, who are obviously named after vegetables. So yeah, if I can now think about it, maybe actually that is where that came from. I have to look that up later.
My spoons, my Puifacut cutlery set. I'll have to melt them down to make silver bullets, won't I? I got them as a culinary school graduation.
That'd be kind of badass, though.
You could probably get, a decent amount of silver bullets from a single spoon, so, just, keep the rest of them.
There'd be no point in serving my 18-course prefix menu without the Puifacuts. I might as well serve microwaved corn dogs at a more food court.
Hey, pull it together, man.
That sounds like foreshadowing to me.
Pull it together, man.
Someone's gonna order that.
You're right. If I don't uphold the high standard of culinary excellence at the Dead Canary, then certainly no one else will. I'm trying to bring Connor Creek its first Michelin star, And I can't do that if a werewolf kills me dead, now can I? I'd rather boil myself in a broth of my own bones than let this dive regress to the greasy spoon it used to be.
I'm hoping that that isn't foreshadowing, because that would be very horrifying for this particular series. For Hatchetfield to be part of the course.
Emotions were intense and erratic.
Well, if we thought our sources were being cagey before, we weren't going to get anything useful out of them now with werewolf hysteria on the mind.
Hey, you can't tell us to stop. It's our constitutional right to have our voices heard.
I'm not trying to stop you. I just wanted to let you know that you spelled a word wrong on your picket sign.
I knew it. You spelled your wrong.
Ah, crap.
Oh
Classic.
no, it's a sign that's made by gotcha tubers. We're in danger.
Classic.
Actually, it's not wolves. The plural is wolves with a V.
Oh, what? Now you're gonna tell me
And an E as well. Don't forget the E in that equation.
2 geese is a duck?
Grammar aside, we kept trying to steer the conversation toward the impact of the election, but the topic had a way of circling back to werewolves.
If there's one thing I've learned
Well, I mean, yeah, when someone dies right after the election happens, people are going to mostly want to talk about that, I would imagine, rather than the election itself.
Sure.
Yeah. And in my first 100 days, my plan of action for as my new campaign will be werewolves! Ah! As everyone's scrambling around.
they sure have an iron's will. So, now that the mining expansion has been approved, things are looking up for you guys, right?
Not if the sheriff institutes a lockdown and tanks the economy first. Before that can happen, we gotta protest the wolves out of here. We don't want their
Yes, protest the wolves that are possibly illiterate, you don't know.
Especially when their business is eating us.
Yeah, the wolves
just
you've
wanna-
never met.
Well, I mean, you don't have to protest it, for someone to leave. Meeting was not a prerequisite, unfortunately.
Do an
I mean,
honest day's work.
sure. It's just kind of like, nothing would be different if you guys were still oblivious.
I'm now imagining Grace Chastity coming in, going like, "Hey ho, heck no, all the werewolves got to go," with actual grammar.
In exchange for a decent paycheck so we can feel good about ourselves. And go home to our one-bedroom cottage where we all
Oh
sleep
wait, you
in
could
one
have
bed.
that classic like Florida man energy to it, where there's where she's graffitied on like a silhouette of Jesus Christ with like a shotgun.
That feels too extreme for Grace Chastity specifically, but yeah, I mean, maybe someone else might do that.
Parents from Willy Wonka.
Oh, Max is helping her with her protest, and that's like his
Oh.
post that he comes up with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to do all of that while not getting eaten.
But pushing forward with blinders on seems dangerous to you and everyone in the town.
Keeping the economy open is what's best for everyone. We can't make the werewolf think we're weak. And if a few more people must perish and sacrifice their soft fleshy bodies for our town to come to its senses, I ain't mad about it.
Except me. I do not want them to eat me, and I cannot stress that enough.
Interesting that they think werewolves would consider business as usual a show of strength.
While the irons seemed
Or that they would read signs. Again, we're missing that crucial detail.
Business as usual a show of strength.
While the irons seemed unconcerned about public safety, others were much more anxious about the danger lurking around every corner, ready to turn on their friends and neighbors if need be.
Take, for instance, the florists, Mary Jo and Ellis Walker. You're making some pretty bold accusations that some of your fellow townspeople here.
Mary Jo and Ellis Walker. Joe Walker. I see what you did there.
Can you keep a secret?
You know we're recording
No.
this, right?
That's fine. So Ellis over here has been doing a little investigation of his own, gone fully deep throat and unearthed some pretty
sorry?
interesting stuff.
He went what?
Deep throat.
Isn't like deep throat like a journalistic term or something?
I don't know. I've never heard it outside of a sexual context, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's gonna come up in a culta, isn't it? Excuse me? What did you say?
Investigation of his own, gone fully deep throat and unearthed some pretty interesting stuff.
Sure did. Deep throated as far as I could go.
Might even release his own
That's-
podcast.
Obviously, that's what they're playing on, but yes, I'm pretty sure it's a journalistic term as well for like a deep investigation.
Oh, for
Okay.
sure. No,
Helps me
for sure.
detect.
Not gonna promise I won't cross you in
I
the
guess it's kind of like whenever a court is pointing out someone or like catching someone in the act and they refer to it as fingering them.
That also tracks. I never heard that one before, but that tracks as an idea. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, you have a good time trying to look that one up.
No, So when the first result is a Wikipedia article, of the film Deep Throat from 1972.
Okay.
Next time, it's a pseudonym given to the secret informant that provided information in 1972 to Bob Woodward. That's for Watergate. So again, somebody who went deep undercover, basically. And then the rest of the videos are, and the rest of the results, I would rather not talk about.
Yeah.
The first 2 search results are relevant to what we're talking about right now. Okay, continuing.
Podcasting charts, though. Unless, of course, you want to work out a deal.
That's like at the same level as on GT Live when Ash and Matt were arguing about whether a dragon can be furry, and so Matt decides, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just look it up. Furry dragon. As one can imagine where that goes.
Of course, yes. Hopefully the search results were not on display while the stream was going on. Ah. Well then.
This was whenever Matt was running, and it was so GT Live wasn't actually live. So they were able to blur and post.
I see. Yeah, when they called it GT not live. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. I was going to say. Oh yeah. Apparently, somebody who is into dragons specifically would be a scaly rather than a furry. That's what I've heard from Brendan Mulligan, actually.
Yep.
Of all people.
You'll want to keep an eye out for a package when I'm finished.
We received a cassette tape in the mail from Ellis, weeks after returning from Connor Creek, and this is what was on it.
A little disclaimer. APN Legal is requiring us to clarify that this next clip has not been verified for accuracy. APN is not responsible for its contents and should not be held liable for misinformation therein.
In a small town like this one, everyone knows everyone. But does anyone truly know everyone? When you have a bunch of unanswered questions floating around and you don't know who to believe, who are you going to call to sniff out the answers? That's right, the florist. Because
I guess belief because of florist. Okay, I thought it was gonna everyone seems to be just against the letter V today for some reason. Which, yeah, now that if anyone's seen my Walking Wednesday recently, that's something that I talked about. How in Spain there's no concept of the sound that that a V would make. So when I actually so I was called upon to help them in music class to pronounce the word leaves. That's the thing that I latched onto, because otherwise they just said lease instead.
If if these people react in this way to werewolves, can't imagine how they would react to vampires.
Fair. That might be, no, that's the sequel series. Anyway, for fancies during a COVID, a bunch of documentaries did a read through of Scream. They got to the line, "You fingered Reed accused the wrong guy." Oh, okay, and all of them broke. Like I say, Reed accused in a script where you could just easily replace the word with the word accused and solve that issue. But anyway, I'll sometimes in my scripts I'll sometimes write things like pronounce as such and such if I want to specify how a word is actually spelt, but don't want to confuse.
No, so the intent here I think is to say you fingered and then okay is wonderful is just clarifying fingered means accused in this context.
Well, you already clarified that. We didn't need someone else to say that. That was the reason that that was the example was provided, because you had already said that. So why would we need someone else to tell us that?
We got deets, hot gas, the 411, and sometimes even.
Well, it looks like you're not forgiven by Jacob, at least.
And we can wrap them all up in a beautiful bouquet. These are the Ellis Files.
Does everyone just have a theme song that they just haven't been able to gets officially composed? I guess that's a thing in Connor Creek. They need a music department. They really need a music department.
It's 7 p.m., the dead of night. I am here walking down Center Road. Not a soul is in sight. Anyone who is anyone is over at Town Hall right now. It is the perfect opportunity to do a mystery. At least one of our neighbors is secretly a murderous werewolf, and I am going to expose them. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just passing the Marionette Theater, and
That's of course assuming that the werewolf doesn't just live in a cave nearby somewhere and happen to be in passing.
wait, what is this? Rita is growing hemlock, the devil's weed.
Ooh.
Trying to poison someone, are we? Yeah, that seems pretty damning and suspicious.
That took me a second to process.
I would have thought, oh, maybe they're trying to poison the werewolf. However, I then thought to myself, wait a minute, if you want to poison the werewolf, just bake them chocolates. Okay, that's the chef guy would 100% be behind that plan. just prepare the chocolate surprise from a cult episode 2.
This is definitely hemlock. Smooth green stem, small flowers that taste like.
That taste like? I don't know if you should be tasting it necessarily if it's what you think it is.
If it's meant to be weed-like, then that's not that. If it's not a brownie or something, you shouldn't be eating it.
Cyanide, you say? I'll be the judge of that. Yep, definitely cyanide.
Well, see, for humans, that's not such a big issue. Now, I have.
No, to be fair, like I do eat apple seeds whenever I have apples, so those contain cyanide. So yeah, like obviously that level will be fine, but I mean, still.
Yeah. Well, it'd be fine for us. I actually have to like be careful with whenever I give food and stuff to my rats because I always have to decord or deseed it usually because it has cyanide in most things. And they have much smaller bodies than we do. They can't just tank it.
You don't say.
Oh wait, this must be wild fennel, not hemlock. Okay, we can cross Rita off the list. For now.
Also, this whole thing.
This is why the clip hasn't been like reviewed for accuracy because they don't know what he's trying to say.
This is kind of a trope where it's like, oh, there's like the werewolves among us, guys. Humans will live among you. Wolves are in the wilderness. They only live with us because we kind of made them as dogs. Wolves are not naturally going to walk into your home. So
that's
even
what
if
I was saying before. The werewolf could be camping outside a cave.
Well, the thing is, even if it is a werewolf, right, and you can be like, oh, well, then maybe they'll do both. Fine, they'll do one as the human. They'll probably want to go off into the forest as a wolf.
Yeah,
they'll just fuck right off. They aren't your problem.
Well. Depends.
For now. Okay, here's Agnes's travel agency when pigs fly. Lights are out, and the sign in the window says no shirt, no shoes, no problem. Gross. And suspicious.
You know who else doesn't wear shirts or shoes? Werewolves.
Yeah, let's say it was like he goes suspicious, and I'm like,
they wear pants on account of censorship.
No shit. Yeah, if you watch the live action version of it, that's why they're always in silhouette. But no, he was like suspicious, and it's like, is it either it's a werewolf or you just found an advertisement for a sex party?
Unless she knows something that we don't.
The
Sounds
werewolf
fragile. Says it's from something called Precious Moments, the porcelain cat figurine collection. Well, Ags is
okay. Did Aphmau guess right this part?
I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen anything be porcelain besides the throne.
Okay.
Like I've always seen that in like shows and stuff where it's like things made out of porcelain. I'm like, I've never seen that.
I mean, it's supposed to be relatively uncommon and somewhat like expensive and elite. So that's probably why.
Moments, the porcelain cat figurine collection. Well, Ags is allegedly a cat person, and not a rabid, beastly dog person. But I've got my Ags on you, Miss Florence.
Instead of a werewolf, you got a meat paw.
Yeah.
Everyone should be at town hall. I think I've been compromised.
I'm now I'm now imagining that whenever like Superbam releases like the copyright on I've Mouse videos, like somebody's just gonna make like a horror parody just called The Mifwa or something. It's all about if Kawaii-chan like goes like unhinged and embrace like the full yandere which she was originally meant to be.
Oh yeah, and we know she has claws. They never really dive into that, much like they don't dive into most of the gags in the big move. But
oh no,
it's there.
No, we also know that she is able to, you know, fully take Gareth and Lawrence as well at the same time. Like, again, I know if Aiden were here, he would protest that. It still happened.
No,
you can't deny it happened.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's so God, it's so that's one of my biggest gripes about the big move. They've hammered home repeatedly that it's canon to the rest of My Street. But then there's a bunch of gags there that make a ton of these characters OP to the point of
Even
MCD level, and they never fucking address them.
Even in My Street, Gareth goes into his Jury of 9 form as a joke in episode 3.
No, that's my thing, right? That's
so
one of my big examples. Like the big examples, right, is like 3, right? You have Kawaii-chan with her like strength and claws. You have Gareth, who, by the way, is super powered in the normal version. Why didn't they just adapt the Jury of 9 thing? But whatever. He turns into Jury of 9.
Effect, actually.
And then you have Lawrence, who goes into his Shadow Knight form in the same scene as Gareth becoming the Jury of... God damn it. Look, man, I get it was a joke and it was a gag. They could have made it into something actually good and like interesting for the plot later on, especially in like seasons like 6 and 7 and maybe even fucking 4. God damn it, Avmao.
Yeah, absolutely.
God,
I mean,
that's
when she
the
did,
number
like,
one thing that pisses me off.
Even when she did like the live stream reaction to like episodes 1 through 4 of My Streets, she still kind of just glossed over the Jury of 9 part. She didn't decanonize it. She didn't say, it wasn't accurate. She just said, "Oh, okay," basically. Like, well, if that's all you're going to talk about, my goodness. Like, yeah, I get they want to ignore it, but I mean, like, it's one of the things you can't pick and choose, what's, there for you unless, stated otherwise.
No,
and there is no statement.
That's the thing. Like, it makes things, it contradicts things more to ignore it than it would be to just, like, grab it and just own it later on.
Yeah, because of course, if you could pick and choose what you decide as canon, all the millions of people that have watched My Street would, do the same thing, but to different degrees, and there'd be no sort of like cohesion behind that. So yeah, it'd just be even more of a mess than it already is. Much like Travis's memory.
If you find this, and I have perished, I have stowed the binder with instructions for my funeral arrangements under the register. I know.
Yeah, you gotta hope the werewolf doesn't like claw that and destroy it.
Oh, please make it quick. Vern? Why aren't you at the town hall?
Well, to be honest, I'm a bit put off by the mob mentality that's going around. Just wanted to take a walk and clear my head. Too much unfounded suspicion and finger-pointing. Seems to me like everyone's trying to capitalize on the pandemonium for their own personal gain.
Who's talking right now? Is this fucking Doug Dimmadome, the guy from like before that they did the meeting with, who was like really ominous and then revealed his evil plan?
I don't recall. I just know that apparently the character's name is Vern. So if anyone says that in when we get to episode 7, then we'll bear that in mind.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
How about you?
Well, let me tell you about the Ellis files. It starts with me and a tape recorder, and it ends with me and a tape recorder.
It went on like that for a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. Don't have us. Yeah, I'm complaining about people capitalizing on this whole mania. Hey, tell me about how you're capitalizing on this mania for your personal gain. Yeah.
Unlike that for a while.
It's worth mentioning that with the tape, Ellis included an invoice for a payment so large, he and Mary Jo probably could have remodeled and expanded their storefront twice over.
To be clear, in Connor Creek, In LA, that would have covered a couple months of their electric bill. Maybe.
And unsurprisingly, his tape didn't shed any new light on the case. Now, I'm not normally one to yuck someone's yum.
That's the kind of heavy lifting you normally leave to me.
But for being the town gossips, these florists sure were bad at it.
Everyone was processing werewolves in their own way. Picketing, snooping on their neighbors, or gearing up for the big town hall meeting where they'd try to figure out a unified course of action. And
is Wenno stalking for an apocalypse?
some folks were trying to subdue their panic by desperately sticking to their normal routines.
Yeah, sure I'm scared. Can't go about my day without every move I make seeming wolf-like. I seriously, do wolves run errands differently than people? How can you even tell?
Well, they don't have thumbs. That was the first thing I would,
Just don't know what else to do besides what I've always done.
Olivia was trying to be sort of British about the whole situation. Keep calm and carry on.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I was gonna say, we're going that direction.
Despite the owner of the gun depot, Riley, being vocal.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, keep calm and carry on was the propaganda move that started during World War II. During the Blitz, that was designed to again do exactly what the campaign said.
Anti-werewolf and itching to hunt them down.
Riley is entitled to do or think what she wants. We may be BFFs, but I'm not responsible for her choices.
I just figured you'd be on the same page. It seems like the guns and ammo business is about to be booming.
This was perpetually perplexing to us.
Well, you see, as long as they don't melt that guy doesn't melt down his spoons into silver bullets. In that case, the gun business will be great, but the ammo one not so much.
His ammo shop was a separate store than the gun depot run by Riley.
There we go.
These two businesses that should have just been one were run by two women who were also best friends and looked alike. Now, for Artie and I, twins who don't look alike, it was hard for us to process two women who looked like twins but weren't.
But if one of us is a wolf, would that change things between us? I mean, well, I couldn't even begin to process what that would mean for our relationship. I'd feel pretty betrayed if I was best friends with a wolf and didn't know it. That is, if a werewolf could even understand the concept of best friends.
Why?
Well, I mean, or at least in this situation, they can pretend to not understand the concept.
And here's where I nerd. They should, because wolves have a big connection with crows in particular. So sometimes people will notice that, like, whenever their dogs are outside, every once in a while they'll notice crows just get a crazy attachment. So they'll start dropping bones and shit down there. And so it's like, why the fuck? So the reason for that is because in the wild, what happens, and obviously crows, right, famously known as a murder, as their plural, right? They feast on the dead. That's their big thing. So wolves, fantastic at killing things. So what's happened is many years ago, crows started going up to like wolf cubs and like befriending them. So they would play with the cubs and offer them treats like bones and such. And they would become pals. And whenever the wolves would grow up, the wolf packs and the crows were buddies. And so what would happen is crows will go up on like treetops and shit and start like making calling and they'll start making noise, essentially tell if they see prey. So that way they will tell the wolf like, hey, dinner's right here, boys, let's have a feast. And the wolves will hear the crow and come over and kill the thing, and the two will share a meal. So yes, they do understand the concept of friendship, specifically with crows at the very least.
Yeah, I do like how that gives back like the crows like went up to when aimed their whole dynamic with like the wolf cubs initially, because of course the two will be more receptive to, I guess, expanding their points of view.
I mean, if they just went for like if they just started with the adults, let's be honest, the crows are very much prey.
Yeah. Hey, have I got a business proposition for you?
Potential crisis, others couldn't really land on an opinion. Here's Dr. Henry.
But yeah, you've got to go for the cubs. Hey, children, would you like some treats? Am I becoming dead?
Edwards in his unofficial office, the bar of the Dead Canary.
This werewolf pandemonium is utter poppycock. It has no basis in scientific fact, only in mushy assumptions and feelings. That's why I don't like newcomers like you or those mining bigwigs poking your big city noses around and stirring up trouble. The folks...
Because, of course, the Connor Creek folk would not have done that for themselves, if left to their own devices around this werewolf stuff they've been documenting for years. No, of course not.
Poking your big city noses around and stirring up trouble. The folks here in Connor Creek are simple, gullible folk, and we don't need more of the outside world coming in here and confusing them.
6 minutes and 7 beers later, Dr. Edwards was singing a different tune.
Yeah, bring it on. The more the merrier.
I love big city folk!
Bring on the city slickers, your huddled
Bring on the men.
To be.
That is literally singing a different tune right there.
To be.
I wonder if anyone in chat would have gotten that reference.
Also,
I'm sure Bond
my practice could use more patience. I guess I could use more practice too. I had to cut med school short when I know, but what about the werewolf? Who cares? I don't. It's just more patience for me. If only that wolf can just not kill them, please. Thank you so very much. Close to death is fine, I guess. Like my best bud here, Polio. And this is not the 14 beers talking, but...
Wait, hold on. Oh, no. Okay. I guess he might have started with, another 7 beers before they arrived and talked to him. Okay.
Great. Paul is so fun and
he's drinking beer faster than Thor right now.
Either that or he's seeing double, and that's why he's seeing 14 where there's 7.
Wheeling, and Artemis is your sister. I'm glad he didn't die.
Hey, look, someone's actually got their dynamic right. They're not boyfriend and girlfriend.
I'm glad he didn't die, because I love beer.
You.
One more shot. It feels like that.
Regardless of where you stood, the pulse of the town had fundamentally changed.
And this werewolf bandwagon was unfortunately muddling the direction of our investigation.
But Paul and I still had something that everyone in Connor Creek had lost.
Common sense.
Their marbles?
Perspective. They were forgetting some indisputable facts.
That when paired with the statistic that 80% of murder victims know their killer...
meant that it was likely that who or what was behind these attacks was someone we had already met.
We've already established that everyone knows everyone in this town. Or does everyone truly know everyone? Ooh,
Had already met. And certainly someone the victims knew.
So let's recap that growing list. First up, Ryan Reynolds, our primary source, found mauled to death the night we arrived.
Then, after some digging into Ryan's murder, Prism, the town mystic, was killed.
I was also horribly injured that night, but hung on for dear life and made full recovery. Thank you very much.
And most recently, Odie Doty, the mail carrier. Dead as well.
It was obvious.
Weird that you clarify that you made full recovery, given what seems to be foreshadowed so far.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, so... obviously they're recording this later, so him making a full recovery down the line would make sense. But I'm not, it's obviously up for debate whether or not he made a full recovery in the companion series. We'll get to that in a second. I think they're wrapping up right now. I do like how they are recapping everything that's gone on. Because obviously, that I know I said before with internet stuff, people tend to binge watch them or binge listen in this case. But yeah, it is nice, for the folks like us that, come back to this, once a week, even sometimes not even that, depending on what's going on with Starkid. That they'll be remind ourselves like, okay, this is the timeline of events. These are all the murders that have happened thus far. Again, except for Barney, who they haven't got to yet.
The outside industry.
All the pieces were now slotting into place and a pattern was forming. Clearly, the pro-mining camp was eliminating anyone who stood in their way. Our theory seemed airtight.
That is until the big town hall meeting the day after the election, where we witnessed something pretty gnarly. The locals were in the middle of a heated discussion regarding the nature of the attacks when roadside attractions promoter Barney Fletcher burst in, shouting incoherently.
What was unusual, however, was that he was bleeding profusely out of a brutal slash in his throat. And like the other victims, he died.
No, what was unusual was that he was bleeding profusely from a slash to his throat and was still very, very able to, project and speak properly.
And like the other victims, he died before providing any helpful information.
It was something I'll never forget. Barney, lifeless on the floor, his prized dino egg cracked.
Spoken like a true detective.
Mm-hmm. Like a true deep throat.
Always knew it was.
With Barney's death, our theory no longer held water. The man wanted nothing more than for the town's industry to rapidly expand, bringing more unwitting tourists to his hall of curiosities and wonders. Why would this person attack him when he was on their side?
Because it wasn't a person at all.
With our pattern disrupted and the town hell-bent on believing in werewolves, I finally decided to entertain the idea of a more paranormal influence.
Of course, the thing they're forgetting is the last thing that Barney said was, retrospectively, I should have used my last moments to tell you who did this. He didn't say what did this.
Or paranormal influence.
As commenters on YouTube are wont to say, first.
Yes, Paul, you were ready to follow this lead before anyone else.
I was going to say, this particular era, we've largely moved away from first now. Not to say this, is non-existent, but doesn't tend to happen as much anymore.
Listen, I find no satisfaction in making valuable breakthroughs in this case, only to be dismissed like an amateur blogger.
Welcome to every day of being a woman, Paul.
Whoa, privilege.
Or being Ellis, actually, in this case.
Welcome to every day of being a woman, Paul.
Whoa, privilege checked.
Suddenly, an animal beast who did not discriminate based on politics seemed more and more plausible. And against my better judgment, I was forced to accept a new possibility. Maybe the werewolves were real.
You think?
Next time on Wayward Guide.
Brothers and sisters, we are gathered here today for the reading of the last will and testament of Barney Fletcher.
His binder made
That
it.
this reading be underscored by the David Matthews Band, but I'm not familiar with Mr. David or Mr. Matthews, so why...
You can look that up.
With Mr. David or Mr. Matthews, so why don't we sing my favorite hymn instead? I bet it's yours as well. Please...
Yes, let's hijack someone's last wishes for your own, your own agenda. Fantastic.
Please join in on page 59. I am no Superman. I have no answers for...
Is okay. As far as hymns go, interesting selection.
I am no hero, that's for sure. But I do know one thing. Where you are is where I belong.
Right, okay. And there's the, again, a genuine theme song rather than the Ellis Files. Which I'm sure are going to be closed sometime soon, but you never know. Maybe the town gossip is just so bad at their job they're just not on the murder's radar.
Tin Can Brothers presents Wayward Guide for the Untrained Eye.
Yeah. The credits and such, whatever. Okay. So I'm just looking in the comments of this chapter, and no one said. Oh, okay. There is one person who said no one else is even here yet. Lol. First, so there is one person who did in fact do the first thing, probably prompted by the actual. Yeah. All right then. There's also said, no, Dodie is dead. Okay, there we go.
I have sat through multiple funerals where ministers started preaching instead of focusing on the deceased, unfortunately. Yeah.
I will say that this actually depends, because I actually was I actually attended 2 funerals in quick succession from each other. The first one, The first one was actually officiated by the family itself, and so they didn't have a priest there, and that one actually. Again, that had as a result didn't have any preaching or any hymns being sung or whatsoever. The second one was more traditional in that sense. It was the exact same venue actually, but it was more traditional because again they had somebody else do it, so there was more of a focus on how they had structured it. I think because they give you a specific amount of time that you do something in, so I think it's 15 minutes. So basically. Yeah, they already had a structure in mind. So that. Again, I guess it depends on the funeral itself. If someone doesn't want to arrange that, then yeah, they'll do whatever they want.
I remember it was really weird because at my graduation, it started out somewhat normal, or at least as normal as things at my high school got. And then halfway through, it just started becoming like a sermon, and I was like, really? Why are half of these people talking about God?
Okay, yeah, for a graduation, that is definitely more unusual. Given the venues in which funerals are usually held, it makes more sense to go that direction, I would imagine. But yeah, I guess not. Well, then again, I did have a graduation ceremony in a cathedral one time, so I guess it depends.
Yeah, it's always very weird though whenever it comes down to will everyone bow their heads and pray? And I'm just sitting here I'm good.
How's everyone doing? Well, we got to a bit of a morbid discussion. We just finished the podcast, so we're going to go to the actual episode involving more death, I suppose. So yeah, all right then. Again, segues. I put this on screen by accident before when I was setting it up. So yeah, here we go. Sorted. Okie dokie. Now, Grin and Barrett, Wayward Guide, Episode 7, the main event. Without further ado, on with the review. And that sums up the last moments there. Thank you, Joey. Why two of them get up and start yelling at Joey particularly? He was accurate there. I always love crowd reaction, craziness there, especially with bombastic characters. Having them all actually, just essentially have the actors do what they do, but in character and amped up to the extreme. It always makes for a fantastic montage, honestly. Yeah. All right, then.
It is one of those things, though, where it's very funny to see. Well, I say it's very funny. In most situations where this happens, it's actually quite grim and bad. But in hindsight, it is quite humorous to see this sort of thing happen in real life. Just because it's very much it's one of those moments where you're looking at our species and you notice the monkey brain come out a little bit. Where it's all of the others are freaking out. And so you just kind of become this very momentary hive mind.
I mean, it depends, because obviously Artemis and Paul, I mean, I guess maybe because they are, again, outsiders, maybe that's why they are exempt from this. But for most of the others, it does make a lot of sense to react this way, hive mind or otherwise. As a side note, this Paul's frame definitely helps with the monkey's brain analogy right there. It looks like actually.
Something.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Okay, another.
And another.
Yeah, all right. Oh, and there's Kurt. Oh my god. Again, I always say this, Nick is the best character actor. Just the way he's not good. I have no idea where he comes up with stuff to do with that. Fantastic.
Look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
Oh, he's actually reading Gangster's Paradise by Cooley. Okay, right. I thought it was because I Walk Through the Valley of Shadow of Death is something is from the Bible, I think. But yeah, like that part that realizes nothing left to live my life, that is absolutely from Gangster's Paradise. I know, because I made a parody, and it's one of the only videos I've ever taken down of my main channel.
Also, yes, it is. It's from Psalms 23:4.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you all know this definitely means you've been to a great deal more sermons than I have.
Is he dead? Do I need to put him out of
Yeah, see, he's a little bit, calmer. Also,
misery? Everybody, please!
don't put him up as well. I mean, nah, he's definitely. Can we just acknowledge again the guy acting like a wolf in the background there? Was it? I think his name was Danny. Okay, now we're kind of the same people in different. Normally, you would have like the cut between like different, different shots of different people. But okay, we're cutting to to the same three people because I guess they provided more material because again, it's Nick Lang, so of course they did. This is kind of a fight.
This is kind of a crazy, like, background, like, music to play for this scene.
Well, I mean, again, it's because it's all wacky stuff. I think Artemis is just realizing right now that Joey's character is about to vomit over the corpse. Again, hopefully doesn't because someone should stop him because the forensics are going to be messed up if you do. Okay, perfect. And they add the sound effect as well because great. Just really adds to Ooh, someone's approaching. Calm and collected.
The wolves are clearly at our door. They backed us into a corner. They want us to kill each other.
That's going to seem suspicious given that you're the person who walked in after everyone else was already here.
But we're better than that. Right?
Are you, though? It'd be a crazy twist if if there wasn't just one murderer, just like several murderers, but all using like the excuse of werewolves, something to get rid of like just a bunch of people they don't like in town.
I have a
plan. That's just like the what's the game? Shit, it's the
Mafia werewolf.
Yeah.
Well, I see. Yeah, so people call the game Mafia. Some people call it werewolf. It's the same rules either way. So yeah, actually. Again, I'm assuming that was the inspiration for this. To be honest, again, given everyone's background. Also, that egg is completely drained of yolk, and that's they clearly did not want to spill it on the ground.
Well, why?
Which is a shame. I mean, it's tile. Like it wouldn't have been that hard to clean,
No, yeah, that's fair. Maybe not. Maybe off the character's clothes, it might be. But again, if he's dead, are you going to use that costume again? Probably not. Also, another good musical sting, but to be honest, I think the podcast one is a little bit better. Actually,
I agree. I do really enjoy the animation choices for this, but I do prefer the audio of the
yeah. Like I would just think about the logistics of editing the audio from the podcast over the animation, but then I realized, wait, no, the timing of the animation would be completely off because the tempo is much slower. So never mind. Yeah, it is based on the game. Yeah.
You put your faith in me when you voted me a member of this esteemed council.
And I was the only person not in the room, so you feel foolish now.
And now it's time for me to repay the favor. This is crazy. Honestly, I wouldn't have believed the story that this LA radio personality had told me if there hadn't have been other witnesses present. I still can't believe it. Shook me to the core. But the reporter was...
Of course, you gotta have a dig at Artemis while you're trying to set, calm the rest of the town. Of course,
was right about one thing. There's a common thread in these killings.
She's a city girl.
I mean, I guess this is the whole privilege check thing she was mentioning in the podcast, because she is dismissed in the same way that Paul was suggesting for himself. Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah? Werewolves. Stinking old people.
Every victim was single.
All of the recent attacks occurred at night.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah. Is it still 7 p.m. supposedly? Because the outside does not imply that.
Which
Just based on the windows.
is why I'm proposing a town-wide curfew effective immediately. Sibylis, a vote.
All in favor of a town-wide curfew?
I mean, you haven't specified a time for the curfew, so that might, sway people's votes depending on, what you specify.
The motion passes.
Ah, there we go. There's the mob mentality there with Lauren's character.
Secondly, we need to organize and strike back. Prove to the enemy that the people of Connor Creek are strong. Which is why I'm
Strike
assembling
back.
a werewolf hunting task force.
Okay, now I'm getting Legend of Korra vibes from this, because the moment that Councilman Tarlock took over, that's when the the task force a little bit before that, actually, if you've seen season 1 of Korra. Anyway.
Right. Hold on. This all seems so rash. There's more to this story, and if I can just talk through my findings,
The
I'm
time
sure
for
that
talking is over, Miss Shoehorn. And while we appreciate
Now is the time for actions. Now we're going into President Morty. Okay.
your work, we feel it best to leave the real detective work up to the professionals.
And who does that include exactly? Oh, I guess Sheriff Matthews. Not Sheriff Matthews. What? Not Sheriff Matthews. Sheriff Reynolds. What I was saying. Oh, Sheriff Madison. That's why I called it that. I'm thinking of Paul.
Which is why I would like to propose that our very own Sheriff Reynolds lead the task force.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would hope she
All
remembers.
in favor of Sheriff Matthew Reynolds.
Did they just use the same? Oh, no, they didn't use the same shots. It's just a different. Yeah.
The motion passes.
Sheriff, the floor is yours.
I mean, she just not. I guess she doesn't get a choice in the matter.
Thank you, I guess. Friend.
Yeah, she was very clearly not prepared for this turn.
No.
I've never seen
At least she gets to lead something, given what happened in the election.
this place so engulfed in fear and uncertainty. I walk around here with my gun and my badge trying to keep you all safe. It is all I've ever wanted to do, and you all make it mighty easy because you're mighty good people, but
Well.
now...
Now it's time to kill some werewolves, right?
That's right. That's right. We are gonna band together. Band. We are gonna...
We're gonna murder the werewolves. We're gonna assemble a task force.
find these monsters. Home money. We're gonna make them pay. Yes! For hurting our friends! Yeah!
Yeah, for hurting our friends. What an understatement. I'm always the person who gets shaken by somebody else in that situation. I'm just like, ugh, what's going on? Relating to Nick Lang. Not there are worse things. Yeah, I'm not gonna stand up, but I'm gonna go.
Wait.
Well,
it took me a second to process. Wait. I'm gonna have me a rug.
Give up most hunters' rugs are made out of. That tracks. Again, I'm definitely getting Councilman Tarlock vibes now.
Wolf hunting task force? What is this, a nightmare? Is this a fever dream?
No, it's real, Paul. All of it. We are smack dab in the middle of it. We have to see
Is this the first time? Oh wait, no, it's not the first time we've seen that room.
this through.
Oh yeah, I bet that Peabody's gonna look great next to your dead body. Let's get out of here.
Are you joking? You are the reason we came to this dumb place, and now you just want to bail?
No, now I don't want to die. All right? You.
Oh, I mean, compared to before, the other 3 murders, yeah, that was perfectly fine. And, you making a full recovery, as you said later on. But no, this time, now with Werewolf Task Force, now that's the time to say, oh, okay, I want to die, I'm going to bail.
You got this giant target on your back,
twist,
Artie.
he secretly knows already that he's a werewolf, and now he's just trying to keep it on the down low.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. If he leaves the town, and the werewolf attacks start happening later the moment that he comes back, it's gonna be either him or Artemis that people are gonna suspect.
All we've done is made enemies since we got
Oh,
here.
he's not the only werewolf.
Well, I mean, okay, fine. If the Connor Creek murders stop and in LA they begin, in that case he would not be the only one. Yeah.
Mole, Truman, the werewolves, and now everyone in town.
Oh yeah, I forgot her name was Truman. Yeah, she's named after my least favorite president. Now I've got 2 bad associations.
Want us out of here, Artie? We're messing around in stuff that we shouldn't be messing around in. And for what? A story?
It's more than a story, Paul. It's our story. We are a part of it, and I don't know
thought you
which
said it was
direction
more
we're
than.
heading.
I do love how unhinged she looks in this shot, honestly, like the bulging eyes.
It's exciting, it's terrifying, and I have never felt more alive. This is what
You gotta stay for the scoop, see? The people need to know!
Wayward Guide is supposed to be a hunt for the truth, especially
Oh,
if it's into
Jesus
uncharted
Christ, our
territory.
funky.
Paul, you are the only person here I trust. I need you by my side.
She's about to start boggling like a rat.
I don't even know how much of a
You would know.
person I am anymore.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
The raw meat, the constant itching, my awesome new hearing.
Yeah, here we go.
Isn't it obvious?
No.
Okay, what about all my new body hair?
Oh, wait,
My
so
sense
he
of smell?
actually was. Wait, hold on. Okay, I was somewhat joking earlier. Wait, he actually does know already that he's.
Well, he suspects, because remember the whole dream sequence he had, and the couple of times where he's like, "Oh, I don't think we should kill the werewolves," just saying. Like, he definitely had like a suspicion for himself,
Well,
and
I mean,
he's
it
just like
seemed-
he's voicing it now.
Well, I mean, it seemed obvious to me. I didn't. It wasn't shown whether he put 2 and 2 together though.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's Paul obviously not the person who puts 2 and 2 together, like as often as Artemis. No one's denying that. However, him jumping to the wrong conclusion very quickly is more likely to happen. He seems to jump onto werewolf mania a lot more easily than Artemis does, and therefore he would suspect himself under these circumstances. Because as far as he knows, of course, werewolves, a lot of the time in they don't remember, having attacked anyone, or his dream sequence or whatever. He might have suspected, okay, well, I was not of right mind at this point. What does that mean? Most likely, he's going to realize, okay, he's not actually werewolf at some point, but for right now, he thinks he is, and that's the wrong conclusion.
Oh, that's good.
Huh?
Yeah, see, they're playing around with that.
I'd keep the howling down if I were you.
What is this, a
I mean, yeah, fair point.
noise violation?
You're not safe. Neither of you.
Wow, you don't say.
Come with me.
Wait, hold on a second. Oh shit, you're a
friend. Act normal. The others are waiting in the bar.
Okay, now I'm wondering if only Paul saw that, or if Artemis also caught on to. Right.
All right, enough pussyfooting. Off the record,
Oh, she's the cat person, I think.
the 3 of us are werewolves.
Ah! I knew it!
We were going to ease them into this.
We can't hide any more, Civilus. We
By the way, Artemis says before they have to agree to be off the record, so she could be secret recording right now.
need to form an alliance if we're going to survive.
All 3 of these people are kind of hot, by the way.
Great.
Trying to make alliances. We just want to get to the bottom of this and help Connor Creek.
Then we're on the
Yeah. So incidentally, this is another thing that happens in the game of Werewolf that if anyone hasn't played the game before, after like during each round, before you vote for a person, what happens is that you pretend to be asleep, so you close your eyes, you put your head down. The person who's like leading the game will tell the werewolf or werewolves to wake up and then like point to somebody that is their next victim. Or sometimes multiple, but it depends. Again, there's multiple ways of playing the game. And if there are multiple werewolves, they will all therefore know who each other, is. So they can either choose to betray each other or form an alliance like this and be like, okay, let's defend themselves during the voting proceedings. Normally, the alliance is meant to be in the case of with bad intentions. So let's.
This could also be a play on the survivor's role, where after that night they all have like a meeting and try to decide who is.
In the times that I've played werewolf, they don't tend to just, well, I mean, obviously because they don't know, you're not supposed to know who the werewolves are. It's everyone who votes at the same time. So we don't normally get a private moment like this because they would obviously be very obvious in the circle of the game itself.
Same side.
Really? Because it seems like you've been murdering your neighbors.
We can assure you this is a trap, a confession, coincidence. Yes, yes, that's it.
We have no one else to turn to. And since you're the only one who's willing to listen to people, Artemis, we had to try. There's more of them than us.
Every corner
for now.
wolf has been accounted for. We want nothing more than to live in peace with the humans.
Treat your neighbors as you would like to be treated.
Someone is trying to put the blame on us.
Oh, like when you hung me out to dry during the town hall?
My apologies. They were out for blood, and I really didn't want to die.
I had to maintain the ruse, you see. I could not give away my true intentions. My machinations lay undetected.
Even though.
With your keen intellect and Paul's recently acquired abilities, we think you can help us.
What abilities? The power to make shitty jokes at the least opportune times?
No, but
that's not recently acquired.
The fact that his recent attack has transformed him into a half-werewolf, half-man, human child.
I'm sorry, isn't a werewolf already half wolf, half man?
Yes.
That's what the etymology of it means. How can it be half werewolf?
If you guys don't get how that works with the etymology, as you guys are probably aware, whenever people are like, oh, mankind or whatever, man being used in a gender neutral sense, that was the initial intent. It wasn't necessarily masculine at the start. And more specifically, it was also not said as man. It was pronounced were. And over time, slowly shifted, except for an exception. Werewolf, which literally means man-wolf.
Yeah. So, I guess that's where. Oh wait, no, I was gonna say. I thought I was gonna make connection to she-wolf, but that's the whole different thing. Never mind. Okay.
What? As a scientific professional, I feel I should advise you on some of the things you're going through. More body hair, increased appetite, raging hormones. These are all part of the transformation process. Also, your genitals will swell to twice their size.
I was going to make a puberty reference because I was clearly going that direction, but sure, okay. I mean, they make it more obvious, so I don't need to.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that has happened.
Paul, how come...
I didn't tell you about this? I did,
I mean...
a million times already.
And also recently as well, yeah. To be fair, I wouldn't listen to my brother if he talked about his genitals randomly.
Fine, okay. Well then, if not werewolves, who or what is killing everyone?
I think you're already onto it.
The victims have all been anti-mining.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And all of us.
It's Doug Dimmadome.
Are anti-mining.
The werewolves.
So or Vern, if this is the right person we're thinking of.
Of Connor Creek are a special breed. We're dependent on the silver reserves beneath the town. Trace amounts in the natural reservoir help us transform at will. Too little and we're once again beholden to the moon. Too much. It kills us. We can't let those natural silver deposits fall into the wrong hands.
Wow. Not one stutter.
Oh,
and you ruined it.
So, it's either someone associated with Minor Mole or the Truman campaign.
Well, that doesn't explain Barney's death. I mean, all that guy cared about was
he
bringing
handles
more
his
people
stutter far easier than I do. Whenever I start stuttering, I get so mad.
Yeah.
To this town. Now look at him. He should serve that dino egg sunny side up with a side of himself.
The dino egg fell on the floor. We can't serve it anymore.
He's toast.
Barney is peculiar. Perhaps
too soon, Paul. Too soon.
a diversion to throw us off the scent?
You know, I still can't shake the apparent evidence that all the victims look like they've been torn apart by a wolf.
We are not lying to you. We would never kill one of our own kind.
which one was your own kind?
Wait, so Prism was a wolf? What about Ryan?
No.
Oh,
Odie?
no, Odie Dodie?
Odie Dodie.
Oh, Odie Dodie.
B.O.
Odie Dodie.
and A.O.
Well, I've heard everything I need to, and it seems clear to me. All roads lead to Silas Torson. Paul, we're heading back to Minor Mole.
Man, she grabbed that conclusion faster than the occulta characters.
Paul.
Only Orchid that does that.
No. Artie, I'm staying here with my people.
Really? We are.
Well, after the you're the only person I can trust. My goodness, yeah. I mean, they timed that perfectly, to be fair, in the story.
This close to wrapping this up.
Yeah, well, I think I'm better suited here, all right? There is a wolf hunt going on.
Yes, and all the wolves being in one place is definitely going to help.
And it's the final count.
It probably will, actually, yes.
Not your best work.
As they themselves said, there's more humans than them, so yeah, staying together, brilliant idea, actually.
Isn't that where sitting ducks comes from?
Yeah, except for ducks can't defend themselves.
Ducks can defend themselves.
Not against us.
Hmm.
All right. So what's the plan, my wolfies?
What you call us?
Nobody says that anymore.
Anymore? Oh, okay, that was a thing before. Okay, all right.
It's very much meant to be like a slur in this context.
Yes, I understood the connotations, BB. Well, there we go. All right. Well, again, we said this last episode where talked about how there definitely was a shift halfway through the series, but they made that very clear in the podcast too. Again, not much in terms of like how they have put this all together necessarily. Especially relating to Barney. No, I guess. I guess Artie's suspicion on werewolves being real, again, depending on what evidence they have or what they tend to believe. There's obviously a possibility that they just think that because they've been exposed to silver their whole lives that they would be beholden to the moon. I could definitely see a parent of some kind being like, if you misbehave again, I'll take away the traces of silver and you will transform at the full moon or something. So who knows?
I'll take away your silver privileges.
Yeah, privilege checked. Am I right? So yeah, it's unclear like what they believe basically. To be the case, because I mean, again, the difference between this and Hatchetfield, aside from I guess like the tone, because I mentioned a comparison before. Hatchetfield very much is like, they're not hiding the supernatural elements like at all in that. This one, it very much could still be town hysteria, even despite the fact that people have come out like saying that they are werewolves, because again, we don't know what they know, or why they think they know it.
Right,
so it's still up in the air, and I do like that uncertainty at this particular point in time, because you could point in either direction and be like, okay, I can see why you would say this. I mean, clearly Paul has made up his mind on the matter, despite never having transformed. Well, then again, I guess maybe he is half transformed. It's another thing where I'm like, well, I mean, their word kind of falls apart if you think about like how werewolves are supposed to function. But yeah, so I don't know. I didn't end up pointing out too much in terms of cinematography this episode. Not to say that there wasn't anything. It's just that. Oh wait, no, I did, because I thought about like cutting to the different to the same people again. Narratively as well, the fact that we have like you're the only person I can trust, and then immediately the betrayal again, narratively perfectly placed. In terms of Paul's motivation to stay, I mean, yeah, depending on what you and how you believe the sitting ducks thing would work, and again how how like good their transformation would be. And also, I guess, you know, if that visual was just, you know, in Paul's mind, or if it wasn't, again, I don't know if Artemis saw the transformation thing that we did or not. You know, depending on what you think about all of those things, you know, he may think that would be safer. However, if the Artemis does have a point where, you know, if she thinks that she's about to like wrap up the case and, you know, be able to identify the person before anyone else gets hurt, would it not be worth Paul accompanying her, you know, especially if she's about to go into harm's way again? She now has survived, you know, a wolf-like creature attack already. So I question that from Paul's perspective, but you know, again, I get what they're trying to do here. So yeah, one of those things. But yeah, aside from that, I'm done. Final thoughts done. You anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I think the quality so far has been pretty consistent, which I like. I will say it feels like there was a little bit less that happened in this episode though than usual.
I guess, yeah. I mean, you know, maybe it's again that whole perception of time thing they said in the podcast. You know, technically these videos are, you know, roughly the same length as each other, but they don't feel like it.
Yeah. But overall, still quite good.
Yeah. As far as there's still a little bit of trace of the politics involved as well, because again, you know, Councilman Tarlock / Truman is definitely definitely, like, again, outwardly appears to there's like somewhat like, again, in the cinematography, it seems to like revel in like the renewed control, but actually has obviously a reason behind that. You know, in times of crisis, you know, you do need somebody to, you know, assume either emergency powers or take control in a much more like obvious manner, and, you know, make things go much more quickly, because you can't, you know, go through all the loops and holes that you would tend to otherwise. So again, I can see that from both perspectives. You know, it's a very interesting point that we find ourselves in right now. And yeah, let's see what they do with it potentially next week, unless we decide to do another musical or something else. Who knows? It probably will be this, though, most likely. So yeah, with that in mind, thanks everyone for joining us. Let us know your thoughts of liking or disliking, and leaving your comments on whether or not. Well, actually, wait, no, we're not. You've probably all seen this, so don't tell me if you think werewolves are real or not, because, you know, that will you already know the answer to the question. But comment something or another, and we'll see you all soon enough in another Butter Bunch video. Toodle pip.
Bye-bye. Oh.